I just finished before we sat down watching the JT O'Sullivan quarterback school on the Dallas game. And I was impressed by Purdy the other night, but man, after watching JT O'Sullivan kind of go through it, it looked first of all, it just every time I watch JT, I think, okay, if there's any part of people out there that think that this isn't sustainable, I don't know that that's the case. I think that this probably is sustainable because you've got the combination of these weapons plus Kyle's play calling and Brock's skills. If it was just one of the three, maybe it wouldn't be sustainable. But with all three going, you can see it when you watch the all 22. Purdy's playing at a really, really high level right now. I'm just shocked, Grant, how advanced he is, considering how inexperienced he is for an NFL quarterback. What do you make of Purdy thus far? What do you make of his performance the other night?
Isn't that what sort of makes Purdy Purdy? He's the most advanced 23-year-old quarterback we've ever seen. Is that fair to say? Like, he's not necessarily the most talented
Right.
23-year-old quarterback we've ever seen or the best 23-year-old quarterback we've ever seen, but he's the most advanced, and he's on a great team with a great coach, a great play designer, and he's up to the challenge. Like with Trey Lance, they always said, well, he's got talent, but, this is a win now team, and you can't really be messing around with this young quarterback. Well, Brock Purdy carries himself like he's 45. He plays like he's 35. And it's all because he played a ton in college and high school. Like, his story is so important that I think he forces teams to re-examine how they scout quarterbacks. Wait a second. Experience matters. Actual game experience matters. Let's stop drafting guys in the first round who threw 500 passes in college or 300. Maybe we want a guy who threw 1,500 passes in college and another 1,500 passes in high school, because football is like a situational game. Like, what do I do down this much, up this much, this yard line, this down and distance, this score? Do you know what to do? Do you know what to do against different coverages, blitzes? Like, he's seen it all. He's improving, but doesn't really seem like he's learning on the fly, which is just remarkable for a young quarterback.
I just think that when you can throw the anticipatory pass, I mean, it's just with timing and touch and that kind of thing and accuracy. It's like if Ayuk knows what route he's going to run, or Kittle knows what route he's going to run, and Purdy literally can start his motion and start to release the ball before they're even making the break. How do you defend that? How do you defend a quarterback who's throwing to a spot and a receiver that's in lockstep with this quarterback who's running to a spot when the ball's coming out on time with accuracy? There were 3 or 4 balls that JT highlighted that Purdy throws the ball before Kittle's made the break, before he's even faked to the corner and then cut back in. The ball, he's already in his, the ball's already separated from his hand. He's already getting ready to throw it. It's like when you can make those kinds of throws, I don't know how you defend it unless you want to, break late, try to fool them, but right now it's like this guy, I just think I don't think there's a way that it's not sustainable. It's absolutely sustainable. And to me, it's absolutely amazing that, JT O'Sullivan, Grant, described his anticipation as world-class anticipation. Who does that? Mahomes doesn't do that. Mahomes is great, but Mahomes doesn't throw with that kind. Rodgers does. There's a few quarterbacks that do, but Mahomes and these guys get by with great arm strength, great weapons, great play design. But like Rodgers is the only guy that I've seen recently that he's throwing the ball to a spot. And that's what Brock's doing right now. He's throwing it to a spot. Now, is it going to continue? What do you think? This week, for example, we get the Browns rolling in, and we get a chance to see the Niners D, which is number 1 in points per game, or number 2 in points per game, 33 a game, against a Browns defense that's the number 1 defense in total defense, the number 1 pass defense. Will he be able to do it Sunday against the Browns, or do you see this game as a trap game?
I mean, it's going to be interesting. The Browns have the number one defense in the league. And it's like there's only one way to slow down the Niners offense. It's sustainable for sure. I mean, they've been doing it for like 15 games in a row. But the only way you can shut down the Niners offense is if you dominate the trenches, because the Niners aren't super strong in the offensive line. They're solid. They're okay. And they're schemed well and they can work around it. But if you can just blow them up in the trenches, you got a chance. And I think people thought that the Cowboys might be able to do that. They were not able to do that. The Niners did a great job against Micah Parsons, but that's kind of a smaller defensive line. Like, we know what the Eagles defensive line can do to the Niners. Like, they didn't just knock out Purdy, they knocked out Josh Johnson too. Like the Niners couldn't even compete in that game. Maybe things have changed, but against the Browns, you're looking at Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Shelby Harris, Dalvin Tomlinson. That's a pretty good D-line. I just want to see, like, if there's pressure in Purdy's face all day and the run game isn't working, which quarterbacks face on other teams all the time, and it's a real tough sledding, how does he do then? I mean, usually most quarterbacks, even good ones, struggle into that. So it's like the real test is coming for Purdy. I don't know if it's this week. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know what to expect, because this Browns team really looks awesome on D. I mean, they really do. I mean, Myles Garrett looks like Bosa, maybe better. I mean, he's playing really, really well. And then you mentioned they now have Zadarius Smith, and Shelby Harris once upon a time was Seattle's best interior rusher, right? So they got a lot of guys, that you really all have to be kind of doubled. And then when you look at their secondary, Denzel Ward is as good a corner as there is.
Yes, he is.
Delpit and Thornhill are really good safeties. And then Newsome, the Northwestern kid, and Martin Emerson, those guys are good corners. So I don't at linebacker, they have a lot of speed. I mean, Wusu Koromoa flies around, and Anthony Walker, another guy, came over from Indianapolis. He can run really well. So in a lot of ways, I see a lot of the same things I see with the 49ers, but maybe even a better talent on the corner. So
and they have Myles Garrett.
Challenge.
Myles Garrett. I mean, he's better than, well, I don't know. Is he better than Micah Parsons? Might be. Are they going to put him against Colt McKivitz the way the Cowboys didn't put Parsons against McKivitz? Maybe. I would hope so. I mean, I don't really care, but I would, just for the sake of competition.
Where is the Niner O-line in your mind? Is it a strength? I mean, we all thought it was a weakness. McKivitz has basically graded out similarly to McGlinchey, just for a whole lot less money. Banks what's Banks' status? Is he going to go in this game?
Not sure.
He's got
they haven't said
at least
yet.
That's not a bicep. That was going to be a bicep, but it's a shoulder. What's your evaluation of the Niner O-line? I know they're undefeated. They're scoring a lot of points, but are they doing it in spite of the O-line or because of the O-line?
I think they're doing it in spite of the offensive line, which, speaks to how good Purdy is and how good the weapons are and how good Kyle Shanahan is. But I'm just like, not that PFF is the end all be all, but let's just look at their PFF grades across the board. Colton McKivitz got a 58.8. That's not great. Spencer Burford's got a 49.5. Jake Brendle's got a 61.7, and Aaron Banks has a 50.7. So PFF isn't super impressed, and yet the Niners are cruising to victory, so it's not an issue yet. But against one team in the league, it might be an issue, Philly, or two, maybe Kansas City. You know what I mean? Like, against a fellow Super Bowl contender, it might be an issue. The Niners haven't faced one of those yet. Dallas is a fraud. But I'm still looking at that, because that's like the only issue on the team. If the team has a weakness, it's those four players and Isaiah Oliver.